The story of Iran and Israel is not one of ancient, eternal hatred. In fact, before 1979, the two nations maintained a surprisingly cooperative, albeit quiet, relationship. Under the Shah, Iran was a key regional ally for Israel, a fellow non-Arab power in a largely hostile neighborhood. They shared intelligence, engaged in trade, saw mutual benefit in balancing influence against Egypt and Iraq. Everything changed with the Islamic Revolution in 1979. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini's rise to power was not just a domestic upheaval, it completely redrew the map of regional alliances and enmities. The new Islamic Republic defined itself in stark opposition to the United States, dubbed the Great Satan, and to Israel, called the Little Satan. The very foundation of the new Iranian state was built on an anti-Zionist platform, transforming a former partner into an implacable foe overnight. The Israeli embassy in Tehran was promptly handed over to the Palestine Liberation Organization, a symbolic gesture broadcasting Iran's new position. Supporting the Palestinian cause became a core tenet of foreign policy, a way to claim leadership of the Muslim world and export revolutionary ideals. This wasn't merely a political disagreement, it was framed as a religious and moral duty. The existence of a Jewish state on land considered sacred to Muslims was deemed an affront. Its elimination became a declared objective of the new regime in Tehran. From that point forward, the relationship descended into a Cold War, a deep and unyielding rivalry that has defined much of the conflict in the Middle East for over 4 decades. It is a conflict rooted not in a dispute over territory or resources between the two nations themselves, but in a fundamental clash of worldviews. Israel, a democratic state, a staunch U.S. ally, found itself facing a new, powerful, ideologically driven adversary. Iran, fueled by revolutionary fervor, saw Israel as the ultimate symbol of Western interference, an obstacle to its regional ambitions. This set the stage for a long, complex struggle, fought not on a direct battlefield but through shadows, proxies, and relentless rhetoric. It was a time when national interests, not revolutionary ideology, dictated the terms of engagement between Tehran and Jerusalem. Everything had changed, and the Middle East would never be the same. Iran has been very clear that it has never launched a direct conventional military attack against Israel from its own soil. There have been no Iranian jets bombing Tel Aviv or infantry marching across the Golan Heights. Instead of direct confrontation, which would be incredibly risky and could provoke a devastating response, Iran has perfected the art of asymmetrical warfare. It wages its battle through other groups, using them as extensions of its own power and policy. This strategy allows Iran to apply constant pressure on Israel, challenge its security, and advance its own influence across the region while maintaining plausible deniability. The most formidable of these is Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps was instrumental in founding, training, and arming Hezbollah. Today, Hezbollah is a powerful military and political force, possessing a vast arsenal of rockets and missiles pointed directly at Israel. For Iran, Hezbollah serves as a powerful deterrent and a forward base on Israel's northern border. It is the crown jewel of Iran's so-called axis of resistance. Beyond Lebanon, Iran's support extends to Palestinian militant groups in the Gaza Strip, such as Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. While these groups have their own motivations, Iranian funding, weapons, and training have significantly enhanced their capabilities to launch attacks against Israel. When rockets are fired from Gaza into Israeli towns, the technology, if not the direct order, can often be traced back to Tehran. This support ensures that Israel remains embattled on another front, diverting its military and intelligence resources. This web of proxies extends even further into Syria and Iraq, where Iran has cultivated various Shia militias. By establishing a military presence in Syria, Iran has attempted to create a land bridge of influence stretching from Tehran to the Mediterranean. Each of these groups acts as a piece on a grand chessboard. Iran can use them to retaliate for Israeli actions, such as airstrikes or assassinations, without initiating a direct state-to-state war. This intricate and deadly game of proxy warfare defines the daily reality of the Iran-Israel conflict, a constant low-level war fought through intermediaries. At the heart of Israel's existential fears about Iran lies Tehran's controversial nuclear program. While Iran insists it's for peaceful energy, its actions have fueled deep international suspicion. The discovery of secret nuclear facilities, the development of ballistic missile technology capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. For Israeli leaders, a nuclear-armed Iran is an unacceptable existential danger that must be prevented at all costs. Israeli officials frequently invoke the memory of the Holocaust, vowing never again. That fear drives aggressive measures, covert operations, cyber attacks like the Stuxnet virus that damaged Iranian centrifuges, the assassination of several top Iranian nuclear scientists. From Israel's perspective, these are acts of self-defense. Diplomacy tried to solve it, the 2015 nuclear deal, the JCPOA. The deal imposed strict limits on Iran in exchange for lifting sanctions. Israel opposed the deal, warning of sunset clauses. The U.S. withdrawal in 2018, advocated by Israel, led to the deal's collapse. Iran then accelerated uranium enrichment closer to weapons grade. Today the standoff is more tense than ever. Iran is enriching uranium to higher purities and in greater quantities. That significantly reduces its breakout time, a ticking clock. The region edges toward a potential flashpoint. Israel has said it will not hesitate to use military force to prevent a nuclear Iran. That raises the specter of a major regional war. The nuclear question is the central, most dangerous element, a ticking clock toward possible direct confrontation. For the leadership in Tehran, opposition to Israel is not merely a foreign policy choice, it's actually a core pillar of the 1979 Islamic Revolution's identity. The regime's official rhetoric consistently refers to Israel as an illegitimate entity and a cancerous tumor that must be removed from the region. This ideological commitment is taught in schools, preached in mosques, and broadcast daily across state-controlled media in Iran. This positions Iran as the self-proclaimed champion of the Palestinian cause and a leader of the anti-imperialist struggle. By framing the conflict in these terms, Iran seeks to rally support transcending the Sunni-Shia divide, presenting itself as the true defender of Islamic sanctities in Jerusalem. Speeches by Iran's supreme leader often end with chants of "Death to Israel," echoed in state-sponsored rallies where Israeli flags are burned. From Israel's perspective, this rhetoric is viewed as a declaration of genocidal intent from a powerful regional actor actively seeking the means to achieve it. When Israeli leaders hear Iranian officials call for their country to be wiped off the map, they take it literally. This perceived threat shapes every aspect of Israel's security doctrine. It justifies the nation's military budget, compulsory military service, its development of advanced defense systems like the Iron Dome, and its policy of preemptive strikes against perceived threats. The ideological war waged by Iran creates an environment of permanent siege for many Israelis, reinforcing the belief that they must remain eternally vigilant. Iran views Israel's presence and power in the Middle East as a direct threat to its own revolutionary goals and regional ambitions. It sees Israel as a forward base for the United States, a vehicle for Western influence designed to contain Iran and prevent it from achieving regional dominance. Israel's close ties with the U.S., its advanced military, and its reported nuclear arsenal are all seen as tools to thwart Iran's agenda. In this zero-sum worldview, Israel's strength is Iran's weakness, and Israel's existence is an obstacle to the success of Iran's revolutionary project. This fundamental clash of ideologies ensures that the conflict remains deeply entrenched and resistant to any simple resolution. The combination of Iran's proxy network, its nuclear ambitions, and its unyielding ideology has created a dangerous and volatile status quo. The rivalry plays out in a continuous cycle of hostile rhetoric and covert actions. This is a war fought in the shadows, on computer networks through intermediaries, but it is a war nonetheless. When an Iranian scientist is assassinated in Tehran, Iran blames Israel and vows revenge. This revenge may look like a plot against an Israeli diplomat abroad, a cyber attack on Israeli infrastructure, an increased shipment of advanced weaponry to Hezbollah, prompting an Israeli airstrike in Syria to intercept it. This pattern creates a perpetual state of tension that frequently threatens to boil over into a larger conflict. It's a long-distance struggle where the two main adversaries rarely, if ever, engage directly. Instead, Syria becomes the battleground. Lebanon becomes the battleground. Iraq becomes the battleground. Syrian airspace becomes the arena for Israeli jets targeting Iranian assets. Lebanese sovereignty is compromised by Hezbollah's alignment with Tehran. This proxy conflict has destabilized the entire region, fueled civil wars, and drawn in global powers. The language used by both sides only adds fuel to the fire. Leaders engage in bellicose threats, keeping their populations on a permanent war footing, leaving little room for de-escalation. Israeli prime ministers warn of preemptive strikes, Iranian generals boast of missile capabilities to strike any target in Israel. This constant hostile talk serves domestic political purposes, rallying nationalist support and justifying massive defense spending. However, it also deepens mutual distrust, making any diplomatic off-ramp nearly impossible to imagine, locking both nations into a seemingly unbreakable cycle of enmity. In summary, the deep-seated rivalry is driven by a revolutionary ideological clash, a dangerous nuclear standoff, and a sprawling shadow war fought through proxies. It began with Iran's 1979 revolution, which transformed a quiet partner into a sworn enemy dedicated to Israel's destruction. This existential threat, as perceived by Israel, has led to a decades-long struggle characterized by covert operations, cyber warfare, and attacks on each other's allies. The result is a highly unstable region, where the constant threat of escalation looms large, and the prospects for peace remain tragically distant. The conflict is not over a border, it's over the fundamental right to exist and the future shape of the Middle East.